Good evening, everyone. It is 5:20, 20 minutes past our 5 o'clock start, but for a good reason, and we're going to go right now. I'm calling on Monday, August 11th, 2025, the regular Wausau School District Board of Education meeting to order. Ms. Peck, please call roll.
Sarah Brock.
Here.
John Kreischer.
Here.
Nick Crescher.
Here.
Pat McKee.
Yes.
Jennifer Paoli.
Here.
Jane Roosh.
Here.
Corey Sellers.
Here.
Lance Trollope.
Here.
Jim Boucher.
Here. Thank you. Please stand with me to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is the mission of the Wausau School District to advance student learning, achievement, and success. And I'll wait to find out if we have any speakers. Alrighty. With that, I would like to recognize speakers and students who wish to make a public comment. But before I do, a couple reminders. The board recognizes the value of public comment in educational issues and importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. President reserves the right to stop speakers from continuing if names, positions are referred to or inappropriate language is used. Please identify yourself by name and state your address. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes in duration. Ms. Peck will have the time up on the board. And with that, Samuel Bueller. Go ahead, Sam. Up here, and then hit the button on the microphone, please. I'll give you a green light. You've got the green light now.
My name is Sam Bueller. My address is 3311 North 10th Street in Wausau. I realize that I'm not in the district for Thomas Jefferson area, but the topic I come today with is transportation for busing and picking up and dropping off. My kids are dropped off at a daycare just on Randolph Street, maybe 4 or 5 blocks from Thomas Jefferson, and I was told that it's within a 2-mile radius. It's considered a walking zone. My daughter will be starting in kindergarten. She will be 5 years old. So it's too much for me to trust her to walk, or the safety of her to walk that distance by herself. Or there's another parent there as well with a 5-year-old that is kind of in the same boat as me. I was wondering if there's any way that I could be able to have the bus service pick her up and drop her off before and after school there. There is construction in the area right now. I don't know if that'd be considered like a hazardous walking area. And then just due to her age, I don't know if there's anything that can be done. I know that I'm outside the district area, so there is a $700 fee, I was told, for the year for one kid being picked up and dropped off for the year. And I was willing to pay that. Granted, that is a large amount, but I know that there's a lot of expenses in busing students as well. And that being said, even I'd still be willing to pay that $700, but I don't know if there's anything that we could be worked out, I guess, for multiple kids at that daycare being picked up on Randolph Street.
What I will do, are you done?
Yep.
I'm going to just state administration will follow up with you on the topic.
Okay, after the meeting? Or
sometime in the future.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you need any of my contact info? Or
Contact?
Samuel, maybe if you give us your phone number.
Yep. 715-560-5583. And like I said, there is one other group of parents that have one other kid, and in the future, I guess I will have one more that will be going too, but I just want to, if there's anything that can be done, I guess.
Sounds good. Thank you for bringing that to us.
Thank you.
There will be a follow-up on that.
Okay.
Thank you. Agenda item number 6, approve consent agenda, appointments, additional staff, replacement staff, contract increases, separations, resignations, contract decreases, terminations, leaves of absence, retirements, minutes from regular session of July 14th, 2025, and the special session of July 28th, 2025. Payment of bills, budget status, and investment report, donations to the district. Mr. Brandon Jensen, we appreciate that immensely. I am seeking a motion to approve the consent agenda and great gratitude for donations to the district.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Old and recurring business. Agenda item 7A, teacher salary approval for 25-26. As we'll go with this, Josh and Tabitha will have something to add to this. We'll present budgeted updates and potential changes to the teaching staff salaries. So I pass it over to you.
All right, I'm gonna have to do this without the clicker, which is really hard for me. So we've talked about this on a number of occasions, and we're coming to you today with an update. But I'll just run through this really quick. And again, we've looked at it a couple times. This recommendation will be based on the state biennial budget, $325 per pupil. Revenue increase remains no increase to state aid. We do have a increase in special education reimbursement rates from about 30% to 42%. Okay, we can move to the next slide. Actually, could we move back a step? So I do want to be completely upfront and transparent that since there's no additional aid, the increase will be part of the tax levy going forward. So I just wanted to mention that before we move ahead. Okay, next slide. It's something we talked about earlier, but what would happen to a district, hypothetically, if they did not levy for the additional 3.5? And this is all based on what we know now because it's very uncommon practice. Revenue limit would stay the same. You could maintain your entire defeasance strategy without increasing overall levy, less whatever impact other outside factors would have. You would lose the $325 for good going forward, based on what we currently know, and you'd lose your declining enrollment exemption. We would face either a very sizable deficit budget within the district for the year that we're currently in, because this is for the 25-26 budget year, or the district would need to make some drastic changes going forward. Potential to lose significant aid next year, 26-27, and additional referendum considerations. I mention this because the $325 was built into any and every staff salary change for this year that we've presented to you. So just wanted to mention that. Next slide. Do you want to talk about this, or would you like me to? I can do it.
You can.
Sure.
I'll
So,
move in as needed.
Yep. So what we're proposing essentially is moving all staff salaries to 3%. You've approved that salary change for all non-teaching staff already. A reminder that 1% salary change is about $800,000. The initial projection that you looked at was a 1.5% salary increase. The updated state budget allowed us to move to 3%, specifically that special education reimbursement rate. The net result is that the budget remains balanced as a projection going forward. Of course, that's only a projected preliminary budget. Next slide. Do you want to talk a little bit about?
I can talk about this. So we did meet with the WEA leadership negotiation team last week, actually on August 5th. And based on the prior action that you took, we did put a revised proposal on the table to them. That revised proposal basically implements the new salary schedule changes based on the way that the salary structure was originally designed. And so what that allows us to do is to adjust the base salary to stay within that 3%. The base salary increase is just over 1.03%. It also allows for all teachers that are returning this coming year to receive their full step. When we had the 1.5%, we were unable to grant steps because they cost significantly more than 1.5, but the 3% does allow us to include that amount. And it also allows us to move forward those teachers, and we had 10 this year that obtained their first master's degree. We did not have any new National Board Teacher Certified staff members. So it was just the 10 that moved for master's degree. So when all is said and done, base salary increase would rise from 48,278, which is what it was last year, to 48,776. At the base of the salary schedule. So somebody coming fresh out of college is going to come in at 48,776. On the top end of the salary schedule, the base salary goes from 84,834 to 85,709. So I did include an attachment on the agenda so you can see the full salary schedule. Based on our discussion with the WEA on August 5th, they did take this to their executive team, which decided to move it forward to a ratification vote. The ratification vote occurred on Sunday, and I did receive a message from WEA that the full membership had ratified the agreement. So at this point, we bring forward the proposal to ratify what the teachers have already agreed to, and it would be implementing the salary schedule there, which comes in within that 3% allocation that we had for budget authority. And I can answer any questions that you may have as well.
Questions at this point? Either side? No? Okay, continue.
We would just be looking for a motion to accept the recommendation for our certified teacher salaries as presented.
Well, I'm going to take it through the motion and then have a follow-up on questions at this point in time. I'm seeking a motion to accept and certified staff salary changes as presented by the administration.
Second.
Opened up the questions here. None? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
On behalf of our certified staff, I thank you.
You're welcome.
You don't need me anymore.
Nope, I'm good. Thank you so much.
Okay, following up, Josh will present a list of district priorities and potential funding sources.
Yep, and Ryan Armansky is going to join me up here as well. So the reason, it's been a while since we talked about referendum construction, and we did have CISA last year run through a building report of all our buildings. So we thought it was time, now that we're moving forward with consolidation, to bring this back to the board and get some feedback from you. So that's really what tonight is aimed at, is getting your feedback. If we could move to the next slide. We'd like to get your feedback. This is listed as potential action. That was only if you wanted to take action on anything that's proposed. And Nexus will talk a little more about why that might be. In order to meet the summer of 26 construction schedule, we'd need a decision rather quickly, but we're certainly not pushing you to make any action, take any action tonight. We can bring this back to you in early September. Run through some potential funding sources, 2022 referendum budget, give an update on that, some good news in terms of interest earnings, remaining funds, district-wide budget, and board feedback on next steps. So I have listed the construction priorities that we've talked about, both in terms of what was identified over a decade ago by the Nexus team, what the CISA team identified, what we've talked about as a team, and then also what makes sense in terms of where will work already be being done and where will we have more students going forward because of consolidation. So based on those factors, we identified some top priorities of HVAC and air conditioning at John Marshall and Franklin. Both are in need of HVAC work, and if you're doing that, it makes sense to add air conditioning at the same time. We should have a meeting on the third floor or second floor of John Marshall sometime where there's no air conditioning. Roof replacement and HVAC work at Riverview. Do you want to talk a little bit more about why those are conjoined as one?
Sure. So obviously, all three schools are at their HVAC systems are at the end of their useful or their anticipated life, and obviously we have some issues with the roof at Riverview also. The concern I have, why we're looking at Marshall, Franklin, and Riverview. Riverview is going to be a complete tear off of the roof, along with the mechanical, along with. I think school ends late next year. It's going to have to fall into place. There's a lot of risk to try getting it done next year. So that was one of our, as much as I would like to get Riverview done this upcoming summer, I'm concerned about getting it done because of that roof factor. So a lot of the things that are listed, or a lot of things that we want to do at Marshall and Franklin, they go along with the CISA and the Nexus studies. So if we're doing certain things at Marshall, we're doing in the fire, we're doing some of the mass communication. The ceilings are ripped out, so it makes sense to go forward with that one. So I don't know if there's any questions on some of our reasoning behind that.
At Riverview talk about, we obviously have this info here, right? Talk about the HVAC specifically.
At Riverview?
Is it
Riverview?
Is it like really close to falling apart from what you guys are seeing? Have you had to replace some parts, recently? Just talk about that.
With all three, we're maintaining them the best we can. Riverview, of the three, in our opinion, sitting here today, is probably in the best shape as far as the HVAC.
Of course it is. But the roof is terrible.
It is.
Because it's leaking onto the staff's desk right now.
Correct. So the determining, or the factor that we're looking at HVAC at Riverview is because of the roof. That is the determining factor. However, we can replace the HVAC at Franklin and Marshall without replacing the roof. So it's kind of a toss in between. My real concern is timing. We're almost 1st of September. To get the design, and it possibly will have to be done in phases, Riverview will. So it's not an easy project. So I don't want to go into it and not succeed on trying to get, when the school season starts, because we don't have an extra school to go and transfer the students to. Yeah. So,
all the review I was doing last evening on this, Riverview seems logical, and as you just stated, the HVAC is better than the roof. The HVAC will probably last us a little bit longer, but we have to do something with the roof, and you need to do it together to make it right, be sensible about it. Where my personal opinion, being at the 100-year celebration at John Marshall and seeing it and seeing our the little steps, the ramps, the kind of chaotic hallway situation with an addition on top of an addition over the years at that one, I would push for some kind of long-range plan for that building to try to address some of the more major things there and to be all fixed at once through a capital improvement referendum at some time in the future, if you can continue to put enough Band-Aids on it, right? But and with that in mind, the old section now being deemed historic by our not so much partners at the city, are forcing our hand on this. So maybe that's something we can look at and separate it if we're able, because in here again, there's something about what apartment kind of units, or there was a specific style of HVAC they were talking about putting on the roof to be able to deal with the old section of the building, right? Because that's going to be more difficult. So maybe we can separate that out to do a little bit, because we have to keep that chunk of the building. I'm more hesitant to doing something at Marshall just because, where Franklin, we've deemed that as, one of our consolidation schools. That stuff seems bad enough. And honestly, the two price tags I'm seeing between Franklin and Riverview, we nearly complete everything from CISA 10 on their list. And with the referendum money, which you'll need to, I do have a question about, you had the one slide about the 10 million, so we must have a little bit more than, I want to make sure that I'm understanding and adding those numbers together, right? Okay. So those are my initial thoughts, and thank you for the Riverview explanation.
Any other questions at this point? No? Okay.
I was worried about John Marshall as well, because that's radiator heat, isn't it? We don't have ductwork in all of that building for air? Because we talked about this years ago, because we know they need air conditioning, because we know they swelter. But
That's correct, there isn't ductwork for air.
we have to add all that. I think a referendum in a new building would make more sense, but that's a lot of money to put into an old building.
Well, and I agree, but we have to look at the age of the building of all three buildings, and we have to keep them going. So it's when they're 25 years past their expected life expectancy, you have to be somewhat proactive. So,
Yeah, I understand. It's just frustrating.
That's what happens when it becomes a historical site.
Well, maybe the city could pitch in and put up the difference, because you only have to keep the outside of the building looking that way. They could pick up the bill for having to gut it and rebuild it that way,
I
because
don't
that'd
think
be
anybody
uber
here would disagree
expensive.
with you, Jane. Not on the agenda. Any other questions? Good point. Anything else?
I think the idea of a new John Marshall building used to be a really good one that I really liked. I think that ship has sort of sailed now. I think now we'd be left with remodeling that. I mean, no, what we definitely don't want to do is put a bunch of money into Franklin, then go build a brand new big building over at John Marshall and consolidate the schools into the new building, because you're not going to build a brand new small school, right? So I think it's going to be like what Corey was describing, probably like a gutting, essentially.
Yeah, maybe we try to plan to do, the whole, again, like the casework and the trims and the doors and things in the old section, and get that updated the best we can. It has high ceilings in order to conceal ductwork, right? But the 1950s edition with the other stuff, and it just seems chaotic in there, and that's the part that leaves, and we create something that's more efficient by adding on, and then you have all brand new systems. But that's got to be a long-range plan.
Well, is that what they would do at John Marshall, or there's other HVAC technologies that would potentially eliminate the requirement for ducting?
Well, and these gentlemen can probably speak to it better than I can, but that's part of the design phase. I mean, that's we're trying to find out what options you're looking at, so that is something that we have to look at.
Yeah.
What works the best and what's the most cost effective.
And what I'm after is to make sure, because we had that workshop months ago, right? And I said about kind of looking at things outside the box. But if things are broke, I think we just need to understand the priorities and what's broken the most, right? And then weigh that against what we might do in 5 years with a building. And you have that data, so that's all. I mean, that's all I'm asking for, just so we can understand it.
Thank you. This is the exact feedback we were hoping for tonight, so thank you. The other three projects that we listed as kind of immediate priorities, mass communication system update. We have buildings operating on different systems. The Wausau West chiller, one of the chillers is currently down, not working. and then expanded security cameras within the district. So those are more straightforward, but were there any questions about those priorities?
Just a question on action for tonight. If people want more information about Marshall, is it still useful for us to have action on Franklin? Or is that, I mean, if Franklin is something that everybody's comfortable with, couldn't we at least get that part moving? Or does it not make a difference?
I think we certainly could.
It definitely will be, because then we can start moving forward with the Franklin.
So those aren't planned to be a package deal, like just do them all at once. They could be separated out, and it might be beneficial for us to make a decision tonight if we're comfortable in Franklin.
And
You guys would just have to then readjust the budgetary numbers.
Yep.
And see then, okay, we decided to spend X here now.
Based
this is
on
all we
that,
got left, right?
yes,
Okay.
yes, exactly. I think Nexus will actually talk through that exact option during their presentation. So,
Yes, a follow-up question. Did you say that the Wausau West chiller is down?
one half of the system.
Yeah, we have a 23-year-old chiller that one bundle went out, so we evaluated rather than replacing a bundle for a system that is aging and that we don't like, that it isn't. It's the evaporation system. So we're looking at the options of replacing that chiller.
I'm just asking the question because of the fact if it's 23 years, it's been working very hard, and I would have thought that that would have been something that we would have looked at and maybe expanded the size of the chiller to take care of more of the building and better than what's been happening up to this point in time. That's the only reason I throw that question out there.
What is the impact of half of it being down? Does the
One chiller is making the ice, the other
Yeah.
chiller is doing the cooling. So if that chiller goes out, we lose our cooling capabilities. And the scary part is the chiller right next to it is the same exact age. So if we lose our ice making ability, there's more, and there's also it wasn't just the chiller itself, it was the IDEC, the air handler, everything that was involved with it.
all right, I'll just ask, does Wausau West have working AC right now?
Yes, they do.
Okay. It's just not as efficient, or it doesn't do as good a job?
It'll keep up. Right now, if everything would stay the same,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Okay.
However, if that goes down, then we're gonna have problems.
So how many more Band-Aids do we have to
SOL.
put to that?
You'll-
I'm being a little facetious on it because, chillers are as important as a furnace, keeping the building warm. The chiller is what's keeping it cool. And when we start in September and it's all of a sudden one goes down, I'm a little concerned for the educational environment.
We're doing fine. I mean, we're doing fine. We're just being proactive on it rather than spending $300,000 on putting a Band-Aid on. It may be a little bit more to look to the future. So that's exactly what we're trying to prevent, because these buildings have people in them and students in them 362 days out of the year. So we have to.
Did you mention this to us a few months ago? Like, this isn't new, right?
I don't know if we mentioned it to.
I can't recall if we mentioned it in a board meeting, but we have been working on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's,
Are we looking at replacing the chiller, or are we looking at finding a whole different kind of system that's more efficient?
Great question.
Yes, that's what we're looking at.
Okay.
Not replacing the chiller with our own system, but with the existing system. But replacing the chiller, looking forward to, upgrading the system itself.
Good.
Yeah, we have a unique system, so we're looking at some different things.
Nice way to describe it.
So we do have a 21st century, third decade hope that something is out there that can be replaced at a lower cost and more efficient, I would imagine.
Yes. We've got a plan, we'll bring it to you.
This is one of those things that this is where the challenge lies, is that the right decision costs a little bit more than the easy decision. And so what is that difference, and how do you make it fixed for long term, even though it costs a little bit more than fixing it in the short term? So
Are there other questions? Do you have more information?
Yeah, we have quite a bit more. Can you go to the next slide?
Usually we end up with the questions at the end when we go to the
This is great.
motion.
I
Yeah,
really
but,
appreciate it.
Yeah, we're asking now.
So we've talked a little bit about the need within the district from a high level without any numbers attached to anything. When we look at the other side, what are the potential resources? So we have the 2022 referendum. And we do that work with Nexus. So that we have those resources. We'll talk specifically about that a little later. We will have some revenue from district building sales. We do have Fund 46. It's essentially a capital improvement fund. We have, before my time, been able to slide some money into that fund for essentially a rainy day that fits with our district capital improvement plan. Certainly not enough to do anything major, but we do have some money in there. We have the capital budget, but as you know, the capital budget is spoken for times 5 every year before we even pass it. So, and then we do have fund balance. We are in a time of declining fund balance, so I certainly wouldn't recommend that we dip into that to do any projects. Just wanted to talk about what are the potential resources. Next slide. So 2022 referendum specifically, I want to call your attention to a couple things here. Near the bottom, there's a projected interest earnings, and we've been showing you 8 million. The partner we're working with is now comfortable with us showing 9. I don't think it'll climb any higher than that. And we've updated the projects that we are no longer going to pursue. There's been some money spent on those projects. For example, at Hewitt, Texas, $2,006 was spent on that project, whether that was through design or something else, even though we're not moving forward with that. So this has been updated with that. And when you go to the bottom right, the takeaway is that we're looking at about $5.6 million in, through some combination of more interest than we thought, good fiscal stewardship on the part of doing the construction under cost and not doing some additional projects. And we're looking at about $5.6 million in additional resources. That does not include the fact that we are still factoring in the projects that you're going to hear about going forward. We do have work slated at John Marshall and Franklin, and that's still included in here. And then I wanted to talk to you briefly about the district-wide budget. So if you look at the very top line, you'll see $8.614 million district-wide budget. That was something that was originally talked about as multiple uses, potentially replacing district-wide furniture, and district-wide technology updates. We have used it for some of those things, including the iPads that we talked about a few months ago, and a very small third pod for kind of additional projects that we wanted to pursue. So that is one thing where at some point, Corey, you had talked about the $10 million, the option in the Nexus presentation. There is potential to move some money out of there if the district determines that there's something that's a higher priority. Air conditioning, a chiller, something like that. That would fit within the question that was asked and approved in 2022. So I wanted to touch base on those things with you. I'm going to move to the next slide.
Josh, I have a question
Please.
on that. Just wondering why you describe it as moving it out of there when I would consider instead we're just adding 2 district-wide, because district-wide, one of the ones was like building or district-wide upgrades, which a roof upgrade is an upgrade to HVAC. So aren't we, instead of taking money out of district-wide, aren't we just saying now our district-wide budget was budgeted for 8.6, but we've actually got whatever the math is?
That's probably a much better way of phrasing it, yes.
And I only suggest that because I don't want people to think that we're taking something that was planned for something else, because we actually had district-wide upgrades and improvements in that part of the section. So a roof is that, a communication system's that, chiller's that, whatever it is, right?
Yep. And I did speak with council today, and they were very comfortable with exactly what you described.
Yeah,
So,
I just think it sounds better that we actually have more than 8.6 million left over for district-wide improvements.
so the remaining funding, a little bit north of 5.5 million, and this is all stuff we talked about. It includes the projects that are under budget, no longer completed, higher expected interest earnings. Nexus will talk a little bit more about current remaining contingency. So Every project has a little bit set aside for things that go wrong. We've done pretty well on our projects in terms of change orders, so we have a decent amount left in contingency. And exactly as Mr. Trollope said, the district-wide budget for FF&E technology and district-wide projects. Next slide. So, proposed next steps, you've given us a lot of feedback, and if you have any other questions or feedback, we'd be very welcome to hearing that. But look at the potential of using 2022 referendums on improving elementary schools that in need of HVAC and AC work, based on the feedback from the board. And then bring a complete recommendation, or at least more of a plan with more significant numbers on it in September, based again on your feedback and more information gathering. So I'm not asking for any
I was just
motion.
going to say, are you asking
Nope,
for a motion?
I'm
at this
not
point in
asking
time?
for a
Because it
motion
doesn't
tonight.
seem like you
Nope.
need one.
If you want to take one, it's on the agenda, but we're not asking for one.
It was possible. Yep. And if you don't think so, we can move on.
Request that I would have is comparing, what we have on our referendum project summer 2026 slide here at our 4 elementaries, and when we complete these things, how that takes stuff off of the list that CISA 10 identified, so we have that an accurate comparison.
So once the slated referendum projects are complete, how does that impact our
What we have
10-year
left.
deferred maintenance
Right.
plan? Okay. Yep. Anything else?
I think, just my opinion, but I really don't want to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to patch the chiller at West to only have to go to a referendum 5 years from now to get a whole bunch more money to throw that out and start over. I'm really interested in if we can do it now rather than going back to the public and asking for more money in 5 years after we just dumped $500,000 into it,
No expensive Band-Aids.
right?
And after talking about this, I'd concur with that because of the fact that if the chiller goes, we're in trouble. We need to take care
Yeah, it
of it.
makes it worse. Cost goes up, because now you
Yep.
gotta do it right now.
And that's exactly what we did. We interviewed designers. We interviewed designers, and then we chose a designer that we felt comfortable with, our maintenance technicians, and they know the system and the buildings. And then they gave us an option of 1, what does a Band-Aid cost? And then 2, what does it cost for us to move forward with an updated chiller system? So we did the evaluation on it, so that's why we're looking to move forward.
Can I
with.
ask, do we have enough funds to do that as you're gonna take care of that project? Or do we not, and we'll have the Nexus team as part of that situation too?
So this project I looked at, we needed to move forward on it, get it in design, because I didn't know where the money's gonna come from or what money was gonna be available. So it might have been a capital project or somehow work out, whether it's capital next 2 years or whatever it might be, but it's something that needed to be done. So where that money comes from, I'm not certain yet. But
Okay, and it might be for, my clarity, maybe other board members' clarity.
And just, I think that's something that we'll probably ask for some guidance on from the board, because what we
Okay.
don't have is enough resources for our current immediate need. So there will be some amount of triage. So we'll bring a plan in front of you and ask for your feedback and guidance.
Okay, good. All right, so, no motion.
Okay.
Next item, agenda item
Thank you.
7C, Nexus and district staff will present on construction updates along with the budget considerations and possible next steps. And Josh, I've got some X's for numbers here for possible motion in the next one. I'm going to be looking at you for filling in what that means.
Yep.
When it comes to the money after the presentation.
So again, we aren't necessarily asking for a motion, but we wanted it to be available if something was that the board wanted to move forward with. So if we get to the point where the board feels comfortable making a motion, there are some numbers within these slides that we can talk about how those fit in there.
Okay, sounds good.
Perfect. So I've got the Nexus team here with me, Russ Schumacher, Kevin Hickman, and Chris Ledden. So Chris will give a brief construction update, and then Russ and Kevin will talk a little bit through exactly what we were just talking about in terms of district-wide priorities. So I'll turn it over to these guys.
Hi there, I'm the construction project manager on this Wausau project, and if you would switch to the next flip side, please. Right now, we're finishing up most of our external items at John Muir. Some of the work that has been completed includes their fitness addition, multi-purpose addition. All civil concrete work has been completed now. The band and choir upgrades, along with equipment verification, installation verifications are being finalized. So if you look at the slides outside there, we're seeing new seating going in. Our final coat of black topping just happened yesterday, so that back is all black topped up, looks very nice. We're still working through our commissioning, and then the civil site work and restorations. There's a few little areas where we're just have a few plantings and reworking some black dirt around the new concrete. So that's going well. Next slide, please. Wausau West, I can't wait to get everybody into Wausau West. It's really coming together great. It's looking awesome. The Commons area, it's really got a new look to it. We got new ceilings dropping. I wish we could have included photographs from today because it's changing so fast. It looks great. But anyways, our work completed is a fitness addition. That's all turned over. Front office renovation, the gym storage addition, new locker rooms, and the equipment installation verification is up to date now. Work in progress. Our LED lighting upgrades are wrapping up. Our kitchen commons remodel, like I said, it's really looking spectacular in there. The contractors got all their items out of the area. It's being cleaned right now and really looking good. The window replacement, there was couple last interior windows going in this week. Our foods renovation, the flooring's all down in there. The cabinet and casework is in, and you can see that in your bottom left-hand slide there. And countertops and sinks are just finishing up. And then lastly, we're doing our cooling season functional performance test to make sure everything's going to function properly. Next slide, please. Then on the Horace Mann, work completed, front office renovations, the Montessori addition, and the equipment installation verifications are to date. Our work in progress, our Montessori interior renovations, all the masonry work, our new openings, the doorways, it's all been completed. We're finishing up putting a few classrooms are getting the last of the carpet in. Casework is going in, really pulling together along with the ceiling and lights. Our athletic addition, flooring was going down yesterday. They should pretty well have that complete today. So we're ready to move into equipment very soon. Our library and kindergarten renovations, that's looking very nice. They were just putting a few final touches on the second floor. That'll be turned over, and then there's a few last little items in the first floor. Locker room renovations, you can see our new lockers are in place on most of them. That'll be wrapping up this week. And then our civil site work outside, they were bringing in the blacktopping equipment today, and that should be pretty well wrapped up by the end of this week. So it's looking well. Any questions?
Thanks, Chris. If you go to the next slide, it's just a recap of the slide that we showed you at the last board meeting, where we were looking for approval to move forward with the remaining referendum scope at Franklin, John Marshall, Lincoln, and Rib Mountain. And those were the items that were part of that scope. We were granted approval by the board, and we've been moving ahead with the designs on those and are planning on issuing those for bid in December. This would be summer 2026 work. Again, it's fire alarms, some secure entries at Marshall, Lincoln, Rib Mountain, some mass notification verification work and all the other items that we went through last time. The next slide, go ahead.
Yeah, talk about what's included in the ADA upgrades.
A lot of
and I'm looking at it as a comparison of what you guys are gonna work on in comparison to what CISA 10 had identified, because I don't see anything specific in the CISA.
Yeah, a lot of it was in toilet rooms, right? Either toilet room remodels or grab bars,
Okay.
or else if there's any sloping that needed to occur on the site. So they were specific items, not overall ADA upgrades,
Okay.
but they were focused ADA upgrades where they were needed. And we can go through kind of that scope document that FIMSOM, and it would be list exactly those items and what the budgets were.
Well, I'll leave that up to you guys
Okay.
and Ryan to be able to identify, again, the difference, what you're gonna complete and what CISA 10 had identified, right?
Yep,
Thank you.
perfect. And then what we did is we put together that budget update sheet last time. We're in the really good position of having to find projects to fit into the money as opposed to come here and ask for projects that need to be finished that need more money. So with the remaining funds that Josh talked about, and we showed this slide last time, the only thing that differs from last time is we updated the contingency budget. It was about, I think, 1.3, and we spent about $300,000. It was about since May to finish up the work that Chris just walked you through, but we're getting close to the end there, so hopefully we got $1 million or so left at the end of those projects. So the remaining budgets for up above for Lincoln, Franklin, Rib Mountain, the underage at 4.6. Josh found out they had an extra $1 million, so that's actually 5.69 or 5.6 of the remaining, and then those additional potential resources, the contingency that I just spoke to, and then the district-wide project budgets, and then the mass communication, which Ryan had got some numbers pulled together for that. So it's really that 7.2 plus 5.6 is the dollars that you're looking at as potential use for getting more work done. So what we did is we took a look at our audit that did 10 years ago. We took a look at the CISA audit. They were very similar in what we're going to recommend as far as needs. What we had said should be taken care of 10 years ago. They said should be taken care of in the next 2 to 3 years. So it did track, specifically with Marshall and with Lincoln. And then what I did is I blew the dust off of our estimates, looked at their estimates. Their estimates they were just strictly construction budgets, not project costs, so they didn't have any soft costs associated with them. So I added those in, as well as adjusted the budgets to what we've seen as a run rate for project costs up here since we've been bidding them, which you've been getting really good bid participation. And what we did is we looked at it specifically as Marshall as one option. We have 3 options that we pulled together as a starting point. Marshall, and then one which is more Franklin focused with a little bit of Marshall. So if you see the top one, HVAC upgrade, boiler replacement, add AC, change the lighting to LED while we're taking the ceilings down, which need to come down for the HVAC upgrades. And that's about $5.5 million as an estimate. If you switch to being more Franklin specific, HVAC upgrade, the boilers were replaced recently, or they're not in need of replacement now. Add AC, some roofing for some areas that need to be replaced, LED lighting, ceiling replacement to accommodate the HVAC upgrades, and then there was some dollars left. And so with that, let's go to Marshall and add a portion of roofing that's due to be replaced as well. But it's very Franklin centric, so they're roughly within $500,000 of each other. And then what we did is put together another option with both of them, right? And it's strictly, it's as easy as both of them added together, knowing that there was a pretty good amount of funding left, and depending on what you all decided on how you want to proportion it, you could take care of the needs at both schools as well. And so that's where we ended up with the work that was part of the referendum that had been scoped. Some of it, like Franklin. And Marshall, some of that work had been checked in under some previous referendums. We went 3 times, right? And as we got further along and scope was reduced, some of those items were taken out. So this would be, in a sense, adding them back in because, fortunately, there's resources available.
Josh, we don't have the whole 10.5 though, do we?
So if you would go back 2 slides.
We have 7.2.
We have what's 5.6.
5.6.
With the updated interest number.
Okay.
And then if you look at what's remaining in district-wide, so about 4.5, what we currently have in contingency, and that's a very up-to-date number. And then I will say that the district-wide mass communication system, that's kind of both in there as a cost and a resource. So we do have about 5.6 and 7.2.
Okay, so we have, all right, 11 something.
11.1.
Okay.
Yep.
So based upon the feedback about John Marshall, is there, and what I brought up about Riverview, is there a different combination that you guys want to analyze and bring back? Why do you think this is, the right way or not, now after we've talked about it a bit?
I think it would be smart to come back to you with a follow-up recommendation based on your feedback. Russ, do you mind talking a little bit about why this, to meet next summer's construction season, why we're talking about this now?
Yeah, because it's kind of prime design season, obviously right now with a 4 to 5 month design for especially the big HVAC. We're already going on the stuff that's already in play, but the HVAC are pretty substantial. We have a lot of field verification to do. We have to start it in September to bid it in February, right? So that we can make sure there's contractor availability, et cetera. If it slips much longer, then we're at risk for not getting it done in 26. And then, you got another year of inflation to deal with, which we estimate at, 3 to 7%, depending on the year. So we kind of average it out at 5.
But we could certainly take your feedback and bring an updated proposal to you.
Yeah, if there's another combination that makes more sense.
And I realize the 3,748 that's in here for Riverview to do everything they identified doesn't include some of the other design and other soft costs, so you'd have to adjust that. But I said between the way I'm looking at it, right, and the info you gave us, we could basically complete Riverview and Franklin, everything that's been identified. Now, Ryan and you guys have to say, well, that really should just wait a little bit, right? Because this thing is actually broke, so we should go fix this. So that's what I am relying on you to do, right?
That's fair.
Okay.
Also, if I understand what Ryan said, there's a concern that Riverview could not get done next summer.
We're not.
So we have not asked Nexus to look at Riverview at all. This has been in.
So I will not ask you that question. I will ask you that question.
And I don't want to speak for Ryan, but I think just based on the timing for everything, there is a real concern that Riverview could not get done next summer. And that's the reason we've talked about Riverview being a summer of 2027 project.
That's how I understood it.
How much of that was wrong?
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
we've been looking at Riverview for a
Question
number of years.
answered.
There's been a number of different scenarios, so there's a lot of things that, and like Josh said, Nexus did not look at that, but we've been looking at that, like I said, for about 6 years, so there's multiple facets that we have to, that makes me a little bit, want to pause on.
So when
trying to
it
get
really
done.
comes to the board making a recommendation, we have to consider funding and timing. Thank you.
Okay. Josh, are you up to date here?
Yeah, and I think the only side left is really next steps, but I think it becomes apparent what those next steps are based on what the board feedback has been at this point, so. So work with Josh and Ryan and the team, and he'll come back in September.
Okay.
And that's what I'm pushing for. I mean, the bottom line is you got a lot of discussion here, a lot of questions to be answered, and you've answered those. Now you need to go away, come back, and get us updated later. You don't need a motion at this point in time, I take it.
No, I feel like we have our marching orders.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
With that, thank you. All right, agenda item 7D, Education Operations Committee meeting. There was none. We'll continue on. Education Operations Committee meeting, there was none. Agenda item 9, Board Member Professional Growth and Development Report. Anyone have anything to report? It's been a busy summer away from the board, but some may be doing some board work as well. If not, I will continue on. Mr. Sillers?
Yeah, I would use this time to speak about CISA 9 a little bit and what I took over for former member Lee Webster, right, on that Board of Control for CISA 9. Our 3-year term was up here this year. No one from the Lakeland Union. There's 3 large districts, us, DC Everest, and Lakeland Union. None of those representatives showed up to the meeting, so it was pretty easy for us to keep that seat then on the Board of Control. And since I've been there, I told everybody long enough, I have become vice chair for Board of Control, which in essence means if our chair, Chris Petroikis from Eagle River area, doesn't show up, I'll run the meeting. Otherwise, that's a well-oiled machine there with Al and Hillary running that ship. And then we have Donna Kaiser as our newest member from Mosinee. The representative from Stratford didn't choose to come back on this time around, so Donna's joining us now for the next year at least. And Jim and I had talked about trying to be more specific about how important CISA is, not only to us but all the other districts within the CISA boundaries, and how active we are, and to try to get a little more info out to the community about how we interact and partner with them in order to provide some services at really kind of a reduced rate, because we're partnering with multiple districts to have an individual staffer do specific items that might be difficult for any of the districts to do. And then it's again, it's a great way to interact and see what other boards are doing within the state in general, right? And how they're dealing with if they have the same financial issues or any other staffing issues, and we can collaborate and figure that out. And I think Kale would probably attest how wonderful Al's staff is, and how they do a great job of having their meetings up and bringing the legislators in, and being able to collaborate in that fashion too, to try to move school issues forward or find some level of solution. Hopefully I'll try to, we just had the annual report and I shared that packet of things so that Kale can share that with the rest of the administration staff, and we'll all work with him to specify what services we're using and how that benefits us at some point in the future.
Thank you a lot for being involved with CISA 9, because of the fact it's important that we have a voice in the state, around the area, the region that we are in. I think it plays a very big part that somebody from our board is involved. And so I greatly appreciate the fact that you are involved up there, Corey. Thank you. Kale?
Just a pair of echoes. I'm going to echo what Tabitha had said earlier and thank the board for the vote that they made tonight towards our teaching staff. In my opinion, the 2 most important resources any district has are their students and their staff. We're fortunate in Wausau to have a fantastic staff, so thank you for your commitment to them. The second echo will be, I'll echo Nexus with their excitement about getting you guys into the buildings to see some of the new construction. Janie had brought it up the other day. We are looking actively for a board meeting held there, so we'll get that on the calendar so you guys can know and see what's going on inside of the building. But other than that, we're preparing for the school year, excited to bring the staff back.
Sounds good. Just a comment, I'd like to thank one of our board members for the work that he's been doing. Nick Crozier, who's new to the board. You've had a busy summer. He's been very active with the National Guard. He is moving into his 20th year involved with the National Guard, and I think it's a great honor to have you a part of the board and what you're doing, and we thank you for your service. Thank you. Anything else? Did you have something that you wanted to add?
Did
Sir?
I have something I wanted to add?
What's that?
Did I have something I wanted to add?
Well, I thought you moved to the button.
No.
No? Okay. Thank you for coming back from, I will say thank you for coming back from New Zealand. That would have been a place that you might have wanted to stay.
I gotta come up with something.
A little pressure on there. All right, with that, written board member liaison district activity report, I'm asking that to be put into official record. And with that, I'm seeking a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, everyone.